My very favorite students in the other class asked me to go through this and make a YouTube video because he has really bad insomnia and he needs to sleep at night, so he wants to watch my videos. And so this one is just, I'm only going to do D&E, but earlier in the problem they asked you for the inverse. And so we are going to talk a little bit about how to find the inverse. And do you guys remember, if you have f of x like we do here in red, how to find the inverse? Just switch x and y. Good. So I'm just going to pretend that f of x is really y. So normally it looks like this, but we're just going to switch x and y around. And then the problem is that it's not written exactly in the right format. So we have to do what? Okay, we have to solve for y. So we're going to have to start going through it. Now, there was some question from some people about how do I know what to do next? And how do I know how to solve for y? That's still kind of tricky. So what I suggested is go back to the normal one and pretend like you have a value for x, like 10. What would you normally do very first to that number? Okay, first you'd multiply by 2. Then what would you do? Then you would subtract 1, and then what would you do? You'd take the square root of it, excellent, and then you'd add 3. Okay, so I just went through PEMDAS or whatever, exactly what I would do in the order I would do it in. Just to keep track of myself then, while I'm up here and I'm trying to find the inverse, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at these to help guide me. I'm going to go backwards, and I'm going to do the opposite. And so I'm trying to solve for y, so what's the first thing I should do? Subtract 3 from both sides. And most people could probably see that right off the bat. But if I look up here, I see I'm going backwards, doing the opposite. Subtracted 3 from both sides. Now, next thing I'm going to do is square, because that's the opposite of square rooting. So I'm going to square both sides. All right, so over here I have 2y minus 1 equals x minus 3 squared. And I don't like to write that as x minus 3 squared because, yeah, I like to expand that out a little bit. Okay, and then the very last thing I'm going to do, add 1. Good. All right, now the very last thing I'm going to do, good. And if I divide one thing by 2, everybody else is going to get jealous, so I better divide everybody by 2. So my final equation for the inverse is that. Okay, go to the next video if you want to find out what to do with it next.